One Zambia, one nation. You are welcome to Zanis News to present. My name is Henry Himonde. A look at the top stories. President Hakainde Hichilema declares drought a national disaster and emergency. National Agriculture Mechanism Strategy launched. Cross-border payment package launched. Plus, sports associations heighten preparations for tournaments. And now the news in detail. President Hakainde Hichilema has declared the drought situation affecting 1 million hectares of farmland and 1 million farming households as a national disaster and emergency. President Hichilema says the declaration follows scientific study carried on the drought devastation across the country affecting 84 districts. Kalan Muchima now reports.
President Hakainde Hichilema made a call to Zambians to participate in the agriculture sector by growing more food to enhance food security at both household and national levels. Most Zambians responded to the president's call. However, nature, through the ongoing drought, has affected most of the grown crops, a situation which is projected to affect the country's food security. In view of the foregoing, President Hakainde Hichilema has declared drought as a national disaster and emergency to mobilize efforts in mitigating the expected effects on the Zambian community.
Fellow citizens, in view of these challenges, we have taken a decisive decision as a government. And in accordance with the Disaster Management Act number 13 of 2010 and other relevant legislation, as a servant of the people, we hereby declare the prolonged drought spell as a national disaster and emergency. Officially, we're declaring today. And this has been out of scientific work that was done, studies that were done, flights were taken around the country, and other instruments that were used to help us arrive at this decision today.
So far, 1 million hectares of farmland and 1 million farming households have been affected by the ongoing droughts.
The dry spell is projected to continue even beyond what is normal, and there is no doubt the current projections are that over 1 million farming households will be affected. Equally affected, as I said earlier, is the energy sector that is expected to have a deficit of close to 450 megawatts. This may even extend to well over 500 megawatts of electricity this year. And you know what that means to our economy, to our mining, which we have promoted heavily, and obviously to agriculture.
The president has since announced some short and long-term measures in view of the declaration.
Short-term measures. We shall channel more resources as a government, as a people, as a community. We shall channel more resources towards humanitarian relief purposes to ensure that our affected citizens do not go hungry. We will work to ensure that additional maize and other foods are brought in the country or mopped around within the country, wherever they are, to address this deficit. I'm a believer that before we place an import process, Minister of Agriculture, we must mop the food that is already available in the country.
The head of state has since directed the military wings, henceforth, to expand irrigation schemes as a way to increase food production. The destruction caused by the prolonged dry spell has largely affected districts in Lusaka, Central, Copperbelt, Eastern, Northwestern, and Southern provinces. Kalan Muchima reporting for Zanis in Lusaka.
In agricultural news, government has embarked on a smallholder farmers mechanization campaign promotion called Mechanize 360 Ulimi Okwana, aimed at improving mechanized farming in the country. President Hakainde Hichilema says the strategy has a target to mechanize 500,000 hectares of land for smallholder farmers by the year 2027. President Hichilema said this in a speech read for him by Vice President Mtalena Lumango at the launch of the National Agricultural Mechanization Strategy in Lusaka. Wupesendwe brings us more in this report.
Transforms the industry by raising agricultural labor productivity and subsequently increasing production, thereby reducing poverty within communities. Realizing the importance, government, in collaboration with cooperating partners, has launched a strategy to create an enabling environment for the sustainable development of agricultural mechanization. President Hakainde Hichilema, who was represented by Vice President Mtalena Lumango, said the initiative is in line with government's commitment to implement a comprehensive agricultural transformation support program for small-scale farmers.
Of this strategy is to create an enabling environment for the sustainable development of agricultural mechanization that takes into account socio-economic conditions of key stakeholders, particularly smallholder farmers, including women and the youth, while at the same time ensuring environmental sustainability of agricultural activities. To ensure that this national agriculture mechanization strategy is not just a document produced for the shelves, government shall, with immediate effect, run a smallholder farmers mechanization promotion campaign called Mechanize 360 Ulimi Okwana.
The cooperating partners stated the need to reform policies and strategies accordingly in order to increase productivity and resilience to the global challenges.
The negative effects of global and local challenges such as climate change, environmental degradation and unsustainable management of natural resources become increasingly visible. We need to better protect our soils, the natural capital, like our forests and woodlands, like the President said also. And blanket recommendations are no longer a solution. And this brings me to the third area that can contribute to increasing productivity, which is innovation. We cannot continue business as usual, and we need to reform policies and strategies accordingly to increase productivity and resilience to these global challenges, which will remain, which will increase.
As this campaign rolls out, it's vital for farmers to choose technologies that efficiently meet their needs, considering ergonomic, social, cultural, and economic factors.
The Ministry of Agriculture disclosed plans to improve the issue of mechanization in agriculture.
Each province in Zambia is going to have a center of excellency. And this is where we are going to take equipment of all sorts and give to the central location in each province. We have already procured this equipment. It used to be like that a long time ago, but we lost it over time. And this UPND government, under your leadership and President Hakainde, we are so proud and happy that you have facilitated that today we can stand here and say we are beginning that journey again.
The launch carried the theme, creating productive and efficient smallholder farmers subsector through appropriate and environmentally friendly agriculture mechanization. Wupesendwe for Zanis News in Lusaka.
And local suppliers of agricultural commodities have assured of their support to the country's agriculture sector through the provision of quality farming inputs. Speaking on the sidelines of the National Agricultural Mechanization Strategy launch, Greenfield Commodities Limited Development Manager Eletina Mwewa says the company is committed to support government by providing agricultural resources, especially in the face of climate change. Here's Wupesendwe again.
The 2023 to 2024 farming season has exposed the country's vulnerability due to the adverse effects of climate change being experienced, especially the droughts. With a large scale of farmers expressing concern, agro companies have assured their commitment to continue supporting farmers with climate-resilient inputs and information on sustainable production.
So Greenfield is one of the companies that supplied urea for the 2023-2024 season under the FISP program. So we were supplying Muchinga We supplied on time. Farmers received the fertilizer on time. Greenfield also is one of the companies that was supplying under the e-voucher program that we had under Central and also Lusaka province. Most of the farmers that were collecting from our depots from Greenfield, 80% of them that collected from Greenfield did not have any challenge. We supplied on time our fertilizer, the number of bags that they were collecting, everything. Despite of the drought, the late rains that we've been having, we have really come in to help the government with the supply of the products that we have.
In light of the droughts being experienced, sustainable and affordable mechanization systems such as irrigation are being offered to meet the sector demands.
We have irrigation equipment, which the President is emphasizing on due to this, the climate, to mitigate the climate change. Also, on the mechanization, we have tractors which can enable the farmer to plow the land. Also, we have sprayers for chemical spraying, whatever it is. Then on small scale food processing equipment, we've got the hammer mills, the dialers.
Meanwhile, the Public Service Microfinance Company has pledged to continue providing agriculture financing to civil servants engaged in agriculture for increased production.
And if you look at critically what's happening in the last couple of months with this, we've had our farmers lose so much of their crop. That shouldn't have happened had we invested as the private sector, because we also have to support the government. The government has just given us basically the right direction where to go, and I think government has really been that supportive. Our interest rates have been brought down to support our public service workers. So alone, as public service workers, public service microfinance, we are looking at the issue of if we can package together something to do with irrigation, so to support our farmers, and we should be able to come up with it in the next couple of weeks. But rest assured, as public service microfinance company, 210 million just for the agro side, minus the livestock, 240 million. We ensure that I think we'll get it done.
Vope Sendo for Zanis in Lusaka.
Meanwhile, the Public Service Microfinance Company has welcomed the initiative of the National Agricultural Mechanization Strategy that will include centers of excellence in all 10 provinces. Public Service Microfinance Company Chief Executive Officer Mulanga Mwiko says this will help farmers, including civil servants, to service their farming equipment within provinces. Mr. Mwiko notes that President Hakainde Hichilema has emphasized the need to maximize on the mechanization of agriculture. He adds that in the light of the prevailing drought, irrigation mechanization is the way to go if the agriculture sector is to grow. In an interview with Zanis, Mr. Mwiko notes that Public Service Microfinance Company in the last farming season financed about 130 million kwacha worth of agriculture support for both equipment and farming inputs. Mr. Mwiko has also disclosed that the company has budgeted for 250 million kwacha support for the 2024 farming season, of which 40 million kwacha will go towards the livestock sector.
If we are supporting the public service workers with the financing with agro loans, these tractors, these plows, they need service, they need some of the expertise, and that's what government has just done, which should have been done years back. And I think this is really, I'm saying, we have to give the government kudos. The president, I think, has given us the vision, the way we should be looking at partnering. Over the past years, when we've been supporting the farmers, which is basically for the last 5 years we've been supporting the farmers, we've had a good run to a point that in the last farming season alone, we financed about 130 million kwacha worth of agro support in both the equipment and the farming input support system. This year alone, we've budgeted to support of 250 million kwacha worth of in our budget for this year, and of that 40 million will go towards the livestock industry.
Gender Division Permanent Secretary Mainga Kawika has urged women cooperatives that have received empowerment equipment from government not to misuse earnings but expand their businesses and improve their lives. Pethias Mutale has details in the following report.
Gender Division Permanent Secretary Mahinga Kabika has continued with empowerment programs to women cooperatives, district by district, countrywide. In Mansa, Ms. Kabika has handed over brand new sewing machines to several women clubs with all necessary accessories such as cotton and hundreds of chitenge materials.
Makulabira kwa ma tenge sutai ama outfit. So I am a materials ni starter pack epa kutampira business.
Other cooperatives have been given full package of restaurant equipment such as dining chairs, pots, cooking stoves, fridges, and other items. For sure, these women can't believe what has hit them, but it's their dream which has just come true. Pethias Mutale, Zanis News, Mansa, Luapula Province.
Women cooperatives in Siavonga district in Southern Province have received assorted equipment from the Gender Division to help them venture into business activities and reduce poverty levels in households. Gender Division Principal Officer Joel Wemonze handed over the equipment to the beneficiaries, which included an irrigation system, a hammer mill, a maize dehuller, and butchery equipment. And Siavonga District Commissioner Geoffrey Jacopo has thanked government for the empowerment and urged the beneficiaries to use the equipment for the intended purpose. More in the following report.
These are the three Siavonga women cooperatives that have been empowered by Gender Division with equipment to enable them venture into various business activities. The empowerment is meant to reduce all negative vices affecting women, such as gender-based violence and early marriages, and also to enhance their financial status. The district commissioner witnessed the handover of the equipment.
As we empower our women, they will also be creating a job to the masses, because they will not be running those like the butchery machine, what have you. They will want to employ someone too. That's already job creation. And also the hammer mill. Those women club, they will want to engage someone who will be helping them to operate that hammer mill. And also here at Siakarinda, the irrigation scheme, they will need people that will be working on those equipments. So that will be creating jobs.
Principal Gender Officer from Cabinet Office, Cholwe Monze, explained that the three women clubs are among the 25 groups to benefit from the empowerment.
So we managed to empower 26 cooperatives, the whole province. In Siavonga, in particular, we've empowered 3 cooperatives.
Siavonga Town Council Deputy Chairperson and the benefiting cooperatives thanked government for the gesture.
Inogumuhulwa ihavo kwa kuti himwatambula tabali bonse bahitambula mulanjo olwejipati nombulijo olwete mujisiga mutyani gamuhibwa birila aguhibere hagaboto
ekimwatupa eji yogwa eri abana Siavonga bonse winda mukujana inchito Siavunji abambinchito bamukomponi abo bakabereke anu abusenana
Brandina Lambwe, Zanis, Siavonga District, Southern Province.
And now business news. Zambia and South Africa have launched an enhanced cross-border payment system aimed at facilitating timely and secured payment transactions between the two countries using various modes of modernized payments. The process, which will be implemented by Send Home and Some Pay, has elected the Bank of Zambia and the Southern Africa Development Community Banking Association Secretariat. Details in the following report.
Cross-border payments are a crucial aspect of global economy. They enable international trade, economic growth, and support the livelihoods of individuals around the world. For businesses, the ability to make and receive payments internationally allows them to expand their operations and customer base beyond domestic markets. This is why Zambia and South Africa, as major trading partners with support from their central banks and the SADC Banking Association Secretariat, have launched a cross-border payment system that will support economic cooperation.
Globally, we are moving towards standardization, and I think as you are trying to integrate navigating between two regulatory formats, what we encourage all participants is how do we let our systems adopt these global standards, such as ISO 222, so that when we're integrating even between countries, we are able to integrate it in a much more easier manner. Even as central banks, this TCID journey is actually an offshoot from what we call the SADC RTGS.
Today is definitely working on addressing those. And this work started not that long ago, that is the Global World Book Update. We had started this work far ahead. And when we started it, we adopted a strategic approach.
For SADC Banking Association Secretariat, the launch of the system will help accelerate the regional integration agenda.
There are other corridors that we're going to be opening up. I think in 2 or 3 weeks' time, I'm actually hoping it's sooner, not even 3 weeks' time, we will be at the next venue to have that corridor activated. And I can only hope in this journey that we will see all the corridors within the SADC open and more participants and people begin to send money.
Implementers have pledged to operate an efficient and cost-effective cross-border payment that will link the two countries financially.
TCIB, we brought the whole of Africa together, and sending payments to and from has become a reality. And this is only the first step in our progression to get to that.
Michelle Lubinda for Zanis in Lusaka.
And in health news, government has pledged equitable and equal access to HIV services for all, including key and vulnerable populations in the country. Ministry of Health Permanent Secretary in charge of Administration, Christopher Simonga, says the HIV epidemic affects certain subpopulations, including drug users, due to sharing unsterilized needles. Professor Simonga was speaking during the release of a report on the findings of a biological behavior survey on people who inject drugs. Audrey Kalenga has more in this report.
The National AIDS Council, working with other cooperating partners such as the Tropical Disease Research Center and the United States Centers for Disease Control and Prevention, have successfully conducted the first biobehavioral survey among people who inject themselves with drugs. According to the findings, a survey conducted from November 2021 to February 2022, over 5,100 people have injected themselves with drugs and were at a high risk of contracting HIV and AIDS. The findings also revealed that the HIV prevalence among people who inject themselves with drugs was highest in Ndola compared to Lusaka and Livingstone.
The HIV prevalence of the people who inject drugs. And across the 3 sites, we are saying that in Lusaka, the HIV prevalence was about 7.3 amongst the Peweeds, 12.2 in Livingstone, and 21.3 from Ndola.
Ministry of Health Permanent Secretary for Administration Christopher Simonga officiated at the dissemination of the results and had this to say.
Due mainly to the sharing of unsterilized needles among people who inject drugs, it is estimated that 15% of new HIV infections outside of sub-Saharan Africa are a result of injecting drug use. In addition to targeted interventions, government also pursues the policy of universal health access for all to ensure equity and equality in the health service delivery.
CDC Senior Epidemiologist and Data Use Advisor Terence Law acknowledged the efforts made by the Ministry of Health and cooperating partners in addressing the HIV epidemic among people who inject themselves with drugs.
I know that Zambia is moving closer every day to achieving epidemic control, where the 395s are achieved. It is a significant moment to pause and recognize this achievement when it happens. It represents the efforts of many dedicated, passionate, and talented persons in Zambia, many of whom are in this room.
Meanwhile, National AIDS Council Director for Policy and Planning, Kayawe Nkumbwa, has urged the media to share the findings of the survey in order to raise awareness.
For colleagues from the media, I implore you to share the findings of the survey with the different audiences of the media, so that we'll be able to appreciate the gravity of the problem of HIV and AIDS.
Audrey Kalenga for Zanis in Lusaka.
The news continues. Nakonde district has recorded an increase in malaria cases. Nakonde District Health Director Philip Mkonge has, however, assured that the district has put up measures to reduce the soaring number of malaria, as the district stands at 100% distribution of insecticide-treated nets. Meanwhile, Acting Malaria Elimination Officer Abraham Milambo highlighted some measures being put in place to contain the disease, which include monitoring the utilization of insecticide-treated nets. Mr. Milambo has disclosed that the district has come up with stakeholder engagements in order to increase awareness on the access to malaria services. He further notes that the district has put up a test and treat in the community known as Component D, which is done by trained community members. Still on health matters, Chief Msaka of the Lamba-speaking people of Mshindamo district in Northwestern Province has welcomed government's move to construct a mini hospital in his chiefdom. Chief Msaka says the construction of the mini hospital in his chiefdom will lessen the problems his people have been facing of seeking medical services elsewhere. The traditional leader said this when Provincial Health Director Lakson Chidikita paid a courtesy call on him, where he announced that government has allocated 2 mini hospitals to Mshindamo district earmarked for construction this year. Details in this report by Chaibu.
Government has this year allocated 15 mini hospitals to Northwestern Province to be constructed in various chiefdoms in an effort to bring health services closer to the people. Provincial Health Director Dr. Lakson Chidikita is in Mshindamo district at Chief Msaka's palace to deliver the good news.
Looking at the distance and the challenges that we have here, the government of Zambia has allocated about 15 mini hospitals to be built in Northwestern Province. And through my office, we decided that to allocate 1 mini hospital to your chiefdom, so that we avoid these issues of referring people. When that mini hospital is built and it's complete, it means that we should be able to deal with most of these emergencies within here.
Chief Msaka is happy with the development.
I'm really elated that we'll have a mini hospital, because it will lessen the problems of my people here. A mini hospital probably will come with maybe 2-3 doctors, I don't know. So that way people here will be serviced properly. This is what we've been looking for. This is what people were talking about. Even in the past regime, we were complaining of that. Now I think with this government, which is a listening government, definitely people are going to be saved and the people will be so happy.
The traditional leader also has other concerns.
This area we need also an ambulance. You don't expect to get an ambulance 125, 130 kilometers away from there when you have an emergency. If we had one here, it would be simpler. Just pack the patient and deliver.
Reporting for Zanis News, I am Chebunkoma in Mshindamo District, Northwestern Province.
We now have a health education message. We have more stories after that.
Hena korera ninzi, korera mburwazi ibwa kusomona. Imuntu ujiswa mburwazi ibwa korera, ulasomona kuluka kapati. Itubi menda manji. Imurwazi ulahwanyota kapati, agambwa kumana kwa menda mubiri. Imurwazi iwa korera, unga wahwa, umawola alo ali 12, umbo kutita jana busirisi bulika boto. Hena munzira iri buti muntu, mbahwa ya kujana mburwazi ibwa korera. Igunywa menda alo atabikibyo musamu ja tusunda na menda aje sitombe igurya jagurya jalo igobere hamanza atasahigwa igabuto na igobere hamitima na himwi alo atasahigwa amusamu na mwamenda aje si imusamu walo ja tuzunda igurya jagurya jitahunigidwe jalo jakarwa nzinini igurya jagurya jitontola jalo jalegegwa na jajiro yalo jenero tija yoburuka boto igurya jagurya jamumazira igurya imijelo naji humani yalo jatasahigwa gaboto hena munzira iri buti muntu mbwako yahugwa bira burwansi bwa korera igubona masimpe guti wabagwananganya gaboto menda agunywa igwinda mugubona masimpe guti ajigwa na igubiko musamu wa chlorine amusambe mumanze nugubere hansipa na menda abigwe musamu uja tuzunda mwamana kubere haje mbuzi amujisibige nango jigasanha ija kurya gamutana agujirya amuhunige ija kurya jindi yonse igutegwa guti gitakarwe nzinini mutari ija kurya jagura mu mazira amuberehe ija mbuzi jindi yonse amulitamtamune mugobere hayigumbuli na tupepa rwa plastic mugusowa tubi ambone masimpe kuti tubi twasogwa na igubikwa mu jimbuzi ambone masimpe kuti jimbuzi jindi yonse gajisalala na gajihunigidwe oyimulumbe wale twakulindunye abamutabulanga nseba mujisi.
We continue with the news. The Young Women Christian Association, YWCA, has launched a legal desk in Material Township in Kapirimposhi District to commence provision of free legal services to underprivileged persons in the community. The legal desk has been set up with support from the federal government of Germany and the European Union through the Enabling Access to Justice, Civil Society and Transparency project. More in this report.
Access to justice remains a challenge for underprivileged persons due to the cost involved in securing private legal services. To ease access to legal services, the Young Women Christian Association, YWCA, has launched a legal desk in Material Compound in Kapirimposhi District to provide free legal services in the area.
The desks are strategically located in the communities where people can easily reach them and access legal services free of charge. This would definitely encourage people, especially the vulnerable women and youth, to access justice.
Over 1,000 persons are expected to access free legal services from this initiative in 1 year.
In 2023, YWCA recorded approximately 700 cases which needed legal attention. And we think that this legal desk launch now will even enable us to reach out to more members of the public in need of legal information and services.
Paralegal officers have been trained and deployed to the legal desk.
From now on, we are going to operate in a very professional manner. Why? Because our paralegals who are going to operate from this office have been trained, well trained.
Carlos Zanis, Kapirimposhi.
The Energy Regulation Board, ERB, Northern Region has conducted product quality monitoring at all fuel service stations across Chinsali district in Mchinga province. ERB Acting Senior Manager Davis Mpenda says the exercise is part of the mandate of the board to ensure product quality among fuel service companies. Details in this report by Miriam Kumwenda.
In order to ascertain quality and ensure compliance of the required standard by fuel service stations, the Energy Regulation Board, ERB, is in Mchinga province to conduct product quality monitoring as one of its mandates to ensure fuel service stations across Chinsali district follow the set standards. ERB Northern Region Acting Senior Manager Davis Mupenda explains the purpose of the exercise.
Here in Chinsali, taking samples from all the service stations that we have. This is part of the process of product quality monitoring. Some of the functions of the ERB are to issue licenses to operators in the energy sector. Another one is to develop standards and to enforce those standards. So we have a standard for petrol, we have a standard for diesel, we have a standard for kerosene. We also monitor the efficiency and operations of the energy service companies, in this case service stations. And this is important to ensure that the fuel you buy from Chinsali is the same that you can buy from Nakonde, from Isoka, from Lusaka and elsewhere.
Mr. Mpenda further explained on the complaint procedure to be taken by consumers.
Consumers have an obligation. When they go to a site, they are supposed to check what someone is putting in their vehicle, get a receipt at the end. If after driving after a short distance, the vehicle develops a fault, they are supposed to go back to the site, inform the station manager, I bought fuel from here, what am I supposed to do? Then they will be told what to do.
ERB Field Officer Abigail Foloshi explains how the collection of samples is done.
The lab, and then the other one we retain as ERB. Yes, so in case there are any disputes with the result, they can take their sample to an independent lab.
Miriam Kumwenda, reporting for Zanis in Chinsali, Mchinga province.
Now, the Department of National Parks and Wildlife, in collaboration with the Zambia Police in Katete, has gunned down a lion that has been terrorizing the public for the past 10 days. More in this report.
Though a government trophy, its lifeless body gives a peace of mind to communities that have spent sleepless nights for fear of being attacked or their livestock being killed by it. This lion has been terrorizing the public of Katete for the past 10 days now.
At least people in Mlambe and the Mpoto area, we can now safely say you can now be going to your fields there safely. Because this animal, you know, this is a wild animal. This is a lion. Anytime it can finish anyone.
So this is a piece of an animal that has remained after a lion was after a short day. So this animal, unfortunately, terrorized one of our areas. But fortunately, the police, together with our people, managed to corner it, and then it's been shot dead. You can see, one of the brothers of ours, a farmer, has actually lost this animal. So it's quite unfortunate, but we're happy that at least we've been assisted as people of Katete because our lives were in danger. You know, this animal is quite dangerous.
The public have appreciated government for the timely intervention to eliminate the dangerous animal.
Namvera cha batu yai Mosezi bapachi mukango kugwele chimukango so ndiye pamoto wana kutafikira hapa tikaone na maso timango chipenyako cha pa TV akambotambisa so ya hapana chitilomboni kuti ndimoonekera mukango sono umwali kambira kuti chaononga ng'ombe nanga sina kafika kuno kwatu nakaononge kama otani so ine niyamikira boma boka kupachi chikatundu chotere ichi ukapezeka kuno ukachitilomboni chapewa ndipo tinakaonongeko satiso pang'ono yayi.
Hope Walia, Katete District, Eastern Province.
And in similar circumstances, officers from the Department of the National Parks and Wildlife have gunned down one of the 3 hippos that have been terrorizing farmers in Hippopu farming block in Chingola district. About 200 farmers have been affected, with mostly maize, groundnuts and cassava fields destroyed. Details in this report by Ian Chomba.
This is Hipopu farming block in Chingola district on the Copperbelt province. It is located about 14 kilometers from the central business district of Chingola. In the last 2 farming seasons, 3 hippos have been terrorizing farms in the area, destroying mostly maize, groundnuts and cassava fields, and about 200 farmers have been affected. However, officers from the Department of National Parks and Wildlife have gunned down 1 hippo along the Kafue River. The development has caught the attention of the district administration.
This area, Hipopu, has been in the recent past ravaged by some hippos that were terrorizing on people's farms. And upon the intervention from ZAWA, 1 hippo was gunned down on Sunday. Now, since then, there was a search of the same hippo in question. Finally, we were fortunate today that the animal was found on that island on the Kafue River. Where we are standing, actually, we are just on the edges of the river, and the hippo was actually pulled by virtue of the community's intervention under the guidance of ZAWA officers who were on site. A canoe was sourced within, and it was used to cross the river to reach the island. Then it was slowly pulled across the river to the point where it is. Over there, you can see that our community members are actually trying to work on the carcass, split it so that it can easily be carried over to the point where we have left our vehicles.
Local farmers are happy with the development.
These hippos were eating our crops. We thank government for helping us. All our crops are gone. Thank you to government.
Apa pakwemo awe tweta shapantu na tichicho shapafula oti amba tingalondera kwa vindu kana uti kwa utipe fertilizer alafa ngatasombola bwana tutwale kwa 10 baki kuja namba taya moneke kai na viki.
With the intervention of the Department of National Parks and Wildlife, it is envisaged that the invasion of these farms by wild animals will be minimized and local farms will be protected. I'm Ian Chomba reporting for Zanis News in Chingola District, Copperbelt Province.
And finally, sports. Different sports associations have heightened preparations for various local and international tournaments scheduled for this year. Zanis Sports caught up with the badminton Zambia team that is preparing for the 13th African Games, as well as Kridjas Stars Volleyball Academy that is shaping up for the local league, as well as the Zone 6 Youth Volleyball Championship. Here's a report.
Zambia will be participating in the 13th African Games slated for Ghana next month. Various sports associations are currently preparing for the Games that will serve as a qualifier for the 2024 Paris Olympic Games for 8 sports disciplines. Among the sports disciplines expected to participate in the Games is badminton. 4 players are currently in camp preparing for the Games.
We are preparing for the All-African Games. These are continental games that happens every after 4 years. They're like the Olympics of each continent. We've been training for these games for quite some time. It has been an objective for us, and this is why you've seen us travel here there to participate in different types of tournaments. The objective was to prepare for the African Games, which are taking place in Accra, Ghana. So I'm very optimistic that my players are well equipped, and we're looking forward for a podium finish.
Meanwhile, Kridjas Stars Volleyball Academy is expected to make a debut appearance at the Zone 6 Championships to be held in Botswana later this year. Kridjas coach Rogers Chishimba expects his team to perform well.
Level best just to prepare ourselves for this tournament. It's a youth tournament. It comprises of so many countries that are participating in Southern Africa. It's very, very important as a club we need to make sure that we are ready for this huge tournament because it comes once in a year. So that's why we started the training in advance, so that make sure that all the teams and the players are ready to compete in this tournament. We are hoping to get a trophy.
The players are equally satisfied with their preparations so far.
The preparations are okay. Yeah, we've been training 5 days a week, Monday to Friday. You have a lot to catch up on before the tournament.
Zanis reports in Lusaka.
As we end the news, we take another look at the top stories. President Hakainde Hichilema declares drought a national disaster and emergency. National Agriculture Mechanism Strategy launched. Cross-border payment package launched. Plus, sports associations heighten preparations for tournaments. Well, that is all we had prepared for you on the news desk. On behalf of the entire news production crew, my name is Henry Himonde. Until next time, it's goodbye.